Okay, with Mariam-Saba Ahmad, butterflies, Baqa. It was butterflies Baqa. That's how I pronounce it, right?
Baqa.
Baqa. See, look at,
Yeah,
thank you very much. So,
yeah,
Butterflies Baqa is the
yeah.
is the short dance film. You are the co-director, and you're the dancer. You're the lead dancer of the film too, as well, right?
Yeah, I'm the dancer, the artist that made the background art, and I'm the singer-songwriter.
The single
So,
song, right? So
yeah.
you're basically everything is you in this film. Like, but of course, yeah, it was a great collaboration. But were you the kind of instigator of this film? Did you kind of come up with the idea?
Yeah, I'm the filmmaker. I wasn't sure what title to give myself, but yeah, the artist behind it. I asked Abby London, she's a music artist, to direct it on the day of filming. And then she also helped with a little bit of planning ahead of time and then editing. There was a team of us helping to edit it.
So you did the choreography of the dance?
I hired other professional choreographers
Okay.
to
So
create the
tell me
choreography.
about the basis of the dance and the idea of the film.
Uh, okay, the film idea. So it just started out with an idea of I'm I'm I have this song idea and I want to write this song. And as I kind of started, the idea started coming in. I was like, oh, I could see like choreography being done to this and dancing to this. I'd been a dancer for 10 years, but mostly social dancing, and recently returned to dancing. And so it was re-entering my life, or I was re-engaging with it. And I was like, oh yeah, I could see choreography being done to this song. So it started out like, oh, I just have a song idea and I'm just gonna do this song. And then I started sharing it with friends. Like, oh yeah, I think I might do dancing and with the song, I don't know, it's kind of crazy weird. And instead of my friends saying, oh, you're weird or this, no, you shouldn't do that or whatever, they were like, oh, I can see your artwork in the background. And it kind of spiraled after that. So initially it was just an idea of like, I want to put this song idea in the world. And
Mhm.
then it grew and grew and grew. And then it's like, I realized there's something more here and like started to explore what that could be.
So in its general sense, you made a dance film. You made a dance music video of your song.
No, when I felt like when I first had the idea, I knew it was going to be, I thought it was going to be some video, like something on YouTube, but I knew it wasn't going to be a music video.
Yeah.
Because music videos they have a very different feel and different purpose. They're very marketing. Like, I mean, they
No,
can make
I
dancing.
understand, but I understand you're talking about from the commercial end, but it still is a video of your music that's telling a story.
It
We're
wasn't.
talking semantics, but yeah.
Yeah, well, no, actually,
Okay.
it's so interesting. Everyone has really struggled with this, what to call it. I've had people calling it a music video. I have people calling it other things that I didn't initially. I was just like, it's just something, I don't know what I'm doing. And then 4 months into it, I realized I knew I was doing something. I knew I was making something, and I knew dance was really central to it. And then I found out there's like film festivals that put out like that just showcase dance films. And I realized this is a dance film. Like
Okay.
I'm trying to use dance to showcase this idea of having a relationship with the divine and interacting with the divine. And I wrote the music to complement or to emphasize that. It started out with as a song idea, but it turned into this. Actually, dance is super central to it, and so that's when I realized I was like, oh, this is a dance film. Like I've just never been a filmmaker before, so I didn't know.
No, no, it is a dance. Well, obviously we show lots of dance films, so it is a dance film. But I guess you just caught me because you said that you did the music, and you kind of the music was the seed of the idea. So I was
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, it was the seed of the idea. And when I brought it to my instructor, Antonio, he was like, oh my God, yeah, we should do it. We should start now. And I was like, we don't have a song. Like, how could we start now without? So I said, don't worry about that. Well, we can always move pieces around and stuff. Let's start on this. And there was a coach coming into town. So we worked with the coach. She started creating choreography. And it was all based on this idea that I had for the song. I had no music. I had no lyrics. I didn't have a title. I had nothing. I was like, I just had this, like, I know I want the song to be breaking free, like breaking free from chains. That's all I gave her. She saw me dance. She saw what kind of dance, and she was off. She gave us like a minute of choreography. It was amazing.
Breaking free from change. That's sort of the theme of the film.
Yeah, breaking free from chains was the initial seed idea, and then it turned into like, oh, freedom, like breaking free from your past, breaking free from pain,
Mhm.
breaking free from things that hold you back. And so it became more, the song kind of helped define like, oh, this is about freedom, like gaining freedom. That moment that you transition from like, I'm on, like when you're sort of on the edge of being trapped and sort of done with it and don't realize it yet, like you're free, but you don't know it. And then you're actually like, oh, wait a second, I could do whatever I want here. I have freedom, or I can do this thing I didn't think was possible. It's that transition point. That's why I use the butterfly metaphor for it.
So did you like turning from a caterpillar to a butterfly?
Yeah.
So they have you turned personally into from a caterpillar to a butterfly?
I feel like yeah, I feel like I'm on the edge of it. I feel like this film has the product like the creation of everything behind the film and then filming it and now putting it into the world. I feel like it's very much tracking this transition point in my
Yeah,
life. I don't feel free yet.
making the film itself on the idea is making you a butterfly, which is kind of meta in a sense.
Yeah, super. It's really surreal. This whole process has been surreal. My whole like artistic journey, it started like 2018, 2019, and it was like, first it's like, okay, I'm gonna write music, but then I started painting and people started buying the paintings, and I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense, but fine. And then I started dancing, and I'm like, I don't know how this connects. And then suddenly I'm making a film, and it all connects,
Yeah,
like everything. And I was, oh, okay.
because you have your music, you have your artwork, you have your dancing, and you have yourself in the film, right? So
Yeah.
that's the medium.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
can I ask you, tell me about 2017. So where were you, where were you then and what kind of inspired you or what gave you the confidence to work on your art?
Or the desperation.
Only
I
you hit the rock bottom, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rock bottom. I was in medical school. I was in spiritual healing school. Right before that, I'd been in a marriage that, well, and during some of that time period, I was in a marriage that was failing, and we were trying to make it work, and didn't realize what the problem was and how deep it was until just prior to that. And as I left medical school, because I was just like, this is not the right place. I'm not in the right place. I came down with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I was like, wait, no. I just left the thing I thought I was going to be doing. Like, I need to get a job. I need to survive. And now I can't, I don't have the physical health to survive. Like, what am I going to do? And, spiritual healing school, I'm a spiritual person, religious person, and started praying about it. And I got right music. And I was like, wait, I have a degree in computer science and biochemistry. Like, I have knowledge in medicine. Like, writing music is not where I thought this was going to go. And so started learning about the music world and music industry and how do you make music. And I wasn't a singer. I didn't think I had a voice. I didn't know what I was going to do or how it was going to show up. And then I started painting. Well, I went to reconcile in my marriage. Like, one of the things we were doing, we started dating and again, and we went to a paint night, like started painting. And I told the person there, I was like, I had been a medical student. I was like, just critique. I just want to get better. Like, just tell me what I need to do to make this better. I have a thick skin. Don't worry about it. And by the end of the night, she's like, you've never done this before. I was like, no. She's like, okay, you need to go to the store. You need to get paints. You need to get brushes. You need to do this. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but okay. So I started painting. So right before that, it was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. And I was very like, what am I gonna do here? Try and I just took the next indicated step by step, and things just evolved. But it was really like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in my life. I've been so lost, and I have to trust, like, now that I'm on a spiritual path, I have to trust that I'm going to be guided where I need to go. And this is where I ended up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes 100% sense. So when you were growing up, you didn't do art. You didn't like. I'm sure you did at someone's school, but you didn't see that you had some talents involved, like before that.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that I had talents. The people that were there to reflect it, some of them didn't. And if others did, I wouldn't have heard them or seen it. I also was really strongly discouraged from being an artist,
Sure.
just for cultural reasons. Like my parents are immigrants, so they wouldn't have understood how to help me or support me in navigating the artist, like the art world in any form.
They wanted you
So
to go to medical school. They wanted you to be a doctor.
I was a good daughter until I wasn't.
What do you mean? You're a great daughter. What do they think? You don't have to get into it, but are they okay now?
Yeah, they're okay now, but there was a number of
Sure.
years they were really scared for me. They were like, "Ah, are you sure? Like, are you sure? Are you sure? Sure?" Like, and my mom, she still wonders. She's like, what do I tell my friends you do?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm an artist. Don't worry about it." She's like, "But what do I tell them you do?"
Do they
So,
have other kids who went to medical school that they can boast about being a doctor?
um, my sister is a psychologist. That was a little
Okay.
hard for them too at first, but now they've got it. They got it.
Why? Because that's not a real doctor? Or
Well, I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't like there wasn't still a lot of respect as much for psychologists, but now it's different. People like respect therapists and psychologists, so
Oh,
yeah, there's a
oh,
better understanding. And again, the culture that my parents came from, it wasn't,
yeah.
and yeah,
So, but like that's the thing. What happens though, right? With parents is that because you're teaching them, even though they don't realize it, you're evolving them, and then it comes down to love. They can disrespect you and say, I don't want anything to do with you, you're an artist, or they can try to embrace you and then learn from your formative, like what you're doing now. I'm just being general. I've seen it happen a lot, right? Where and
yeah,
then they are better people themselves.
right. And
I
that's
just
what's
made a leap there, but I hope that's okay.
no, that's totally fine. And it's accurate. It's what happened. I'm very grateful because I've known people where it didn't work out for them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so you had this ability, you had this inside of you the whole time. And the interesting thing about it is that conflict, it seems like brought this out of you. And you might have not like you might have lived your whole life and not even realized it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it took pain of
Yeah.
like something really precious and dear to me. It took that failing for me to like go, okay, something's wrong here. I need to do something different. And just my life just went totally different.
Yeah, it's a kind of amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So okay, so is this your first film, your first official
Yes.
film?
Yes.
So how does it
Yeah,
feel?
I didn't even dare call myself a filmmaker until we actually finished filming.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is so outside my wheelhouse.
So how does it feel?
I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome, but I'm sure that will fade with time.
I'm going to tell you a little secret. Everybody who makes films and the filmmakers has imposter syndrome, no matter how high up they are.
Okay, that's reassuring. Thank you.
Because, well, it's a lot of factors, right? Because there's a lot of moving parts involved with making a film, and
Mhm.
sometimes you have to be a little bit lucky,
Yeah.
and basically and basically lucky in the sense of making the film, but also lucky in getting to be able to make a film, right? So
Mhm. Right, right. Yeah,
yeah.
that
So
makes sense. Thank you.
so tell me about the your dance partner. Where did you find him?
Yeah, I'm discovering outside of social dancing, they have, dance studios and you can work with professionals, professional dancers like who will teach you or coach you and help you improve on your dancing. And so my dance instructor, my dance partner, Antonio Samayoa, he works at Arthur Murray in a neighboring city locally. And
So where are you based?
yeah. Oh, I'm based in Edmonds, Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
near Seattle? I know you get that
Yep.
question.
It's just like a couple, like 20 minutes or 30 minutes
Oh,
north
it's
of
like the
Seattle.
suburbs of Seattle then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's an artsy town. It's partly why I moved here. Lots of
Okay.
arts, big art scene. Um, but yeah, so he's located like the studio that he works at is located up in Everett. It's a few miles, 30 minutes north of me. And so they teach ballroom dancing, but they teach all kinds of dancing. And so I walked in thinking I was going to brush up on my social dancing, and I stayed because I love ballroom dancing as much as I love any of the other dances. And so I realized this is a place where I can actually improve on my technique and realize that this is another form of expression I would strongly enjoy refining. And so I spend more time there now.
So you just asked him to be in the film?
Initially, I just said, I have this idea. I'm thinking about working on a routine. And I think I'm going to write the song to it. And I thought I was just giving him a heads up so that when the song is done, we could work on it. But he got really excited and he's like, let's work on it now. Let's do it.
Hmm.
So he always knew as my dance instructor, my professional dance partner, that he was always going to be my partner in it.
And tell me about your costume, your wardrobe, the symbolism.
Um, that one doesn't have as much symbolism. I just really love those types of dresses. That's more of a brings me joy.
Yeah.
But also, I for costuming, it's kind of tricky because as a hijabi woman, I have to be covered. So I have to things that will cover sleeves, like my arms, cover everything in my legs. They're not going to like fly up and show too much or be too revealing. So that's another advantage of the costuming.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so basically, this is something that like I'm familiar of the being a hijabi woman, but I'm not like I don't know the minutia. I don't know what is the part of my ignorance, but what is the reasoning why you have to be covered?
Um, it's a standard of modesty. So if you're in the world with men that you know that aren't family members, like immediate family members. So if they're not your father, brother, husband, son, nephew, or uncle, then you have to kind of be covered and up to your hands and then your everything but your face, depending on which school that you follow. Some schools say like, just
Yeah.
eyes can be revealed. And then in some schools like your feet can be you can see your feet. Other schools it's you cover your feet. And so it's just the standard of modesty.
Standard of honesty. And do you
Yeah.
think that will is that a changing like as you just said it was there's different customs and there's different like every religion seems to have their own kind of line of how much they follow their religion, I guess, if that makes sense. Uh
Right. It's not that I think everyone's relationship with their modesty and what they're comfortable with or what they feel called to do is really different and unique. And so there are many Muslims who are going to object to this film just because I'm dancing with a man, because the standard of modesty for a lot of people is men and women don't even interact.
yeah.
Or if they interact minimally, but they don't make eye contact and they definitely don't have like hand to hand contact. So, I mean, and then there are a lot of Muslim women who don't even wear a hijab. And so it's what is your relationship with with your religion, but also like your understanding or your acceptance of what modesty means for you. Women get kind of targeted with this conversation just because they are hijabis and men aren't required to wear a
Yeah.
hijab. But yeah, it's very like a nuanced and personal thing that people say, well, the rules say this and the rules say that, and it's like, well, actually, it's not that specific. Like there are people who interpret the rules and say it has to be this way or that way, but I'm learning that each person has their relationship that says this is right for me or this isn't right for me.
Yeah, so I thank you for your candor. I appreciate it because that was like my follow up because I learned that basically that some Muslims are not even allowed to do this film. That's but basically, but then you want to wear you basically want to be covered, but then at the same time you still, you know what I mean? There's different like, and I'm glad you said that. It's like it's per person. So hypothetically, I don't know if you have kids, but would you like do you set up an ideology for your daughter, or are you just gonna let her kind of make up her own mind?
I think if I had kids, I would set up a basic standard. And then I would say, but when you are in a place to make those choices for yourself, so as an adult, whatever age that, we define that as, it would be like, okay, now you live your life. Now you decide. You've tried this on. You've tried living this way, but you have to ultimately live with whatever choices you make. And so you need to now discover or try things or explore. But yeah, I think I would set up a basic standard, but not in the sense of not with the expectation that they stick with it, but just to give them the experience
Mm.
and the support they need. Like when I didn't grow up wearing a hijab. I started wearing it in 2015, and initially it was like really clear, like spiritual guidance to like you need to wear a hijab, and I was just like, oh no 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 no. It took a month. Like every day I fought with it. Every day I was like, okay, just try. And first time I went out the door, I took it off right after I took my first step out the door. It was a big process for me to learn how to wear a hijab. And so if I had a daughter, I would say I would like you just try it, and then this is not the rest of your life. This is just for a time. But if they ultimately were said, as a teenager, like, I hate this, I'm never doing this, I'd be like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I've given you what I can, but it's really, it'll be her life.
Because my like perception is that, and you could call me out on this, is that it's like men don't have to do this, so why do women have to do this? So it seems like it's like a sexist kind of like it seems like unfair, and it seems like a little bit sexist. Not a little bit,
Actually,
but a lot. But I could be totally wrong.
no, no, no. Actually, men are required to like set they also have a set standard of modesty that they're supposed to meet. Again, there are a lot of people who get upset with me saying this, but they are actually, it's very clear that in my interpretation to understand, they're supposed to be quite modest as well. They don't follow it. But the thing is they don't get called out for not
Well,
following it.
that's sexist in its nature, right? That's a well, yeah. That's
I
what I'm
mean,
talking about.
humans are humans, right? Like you see this in every community.
Yeah,
Like standards aren't quite right, and people
yeah.
don't call people out the same way. And yeah, it's very human.
No, but at the same time, it's like I correct me if I'm wrong. You could in being in the United States and being in, say, Saudi Arabia or whatever. I'm just giving hypothetical countries. It could be different. There's different laws and there's different kinds of punishment, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That when people use religion as permission to oppress, it you can't. That religion was never set up as an excuse for oppression. Religion was always in every religion. I'm not just talking about Islam, like all the Christian religions,
sure,
Jewish religions.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
religion is meant to be a path to connecting with a higher power or multiple higher powers, whatever you believe. And that's all it is. So what these rules, my understanding is these rules are like, at least in Islam, is it's guidance of if you live by these rules, your life will be easier. Your life will be there will be more peace, there'll be more serenity in your life. But it's not, you have to live by these rules or you'll get punished, and let alone like there are consequences, like if we like sins or whatever, if you break certain rules, there are consequences, but it's not, again, like it's not, it shouldn't be humans always setting the consequence. Like because we lose mercy, we lose compassion. Like 5 years from now I might say, yep, I shouldn't have been dancing with men. Like that might happen on my spiritual path. Like I might be like, oh my god, I shouldn't have been doing that, what was I thinking? But that I had to go through what I had to go through to get there, and that meant doing what I've done to get there. So I'm not going to suddenly say I was evil, I was bad, I did these things I shouldn't have done. um, it's more like, okay, I learned what I learned, how I learned it. It didn't hurt anyone. I didn't harm anyone. I deserve mercy and compassion and forgiveness,
Mhm.
not oppression or like, yelling and screaming or, all these attacks.
Judgments. So thank you very. No, I appreciate that because I'm just trying to get like because I think that your film is basically. I'm sure that we'll talk about the audience feedback in a second, but I'm sure I'm picking up something. But then I'm sure different cultures are picking up other things. But I'm just picking up like freedom. I'm like I know you're dancing with somebody else, but I think I'm picking up individualism. Like you're becoming you, right? So that's what your
Yeah.
film's about.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, what the role Antonio plays in my intention, like however it comes off is whatever the person's supposed to get, but my
Mhm.
intention is, Antonio represents the divine, God, Allah, whatever. And, he's my intention for the film is to say, look, we're always in conversation with the divine, and we can either face the divine or God, or we can face away, or we can acknowledge it or not. That's fine, but like this is a dance, and so, yes, I'm the subject of it, but I feel like I'm the human subject of it because Allah, God, takes, kind of a back seat and lets us live our life. Like we're given free will. So we get to live our life and we get to be the star of our story for sure. But the divine is always there. And if we ever need the support, just turn and look. Like there it is.
Mhm. So tell me about, what did you think about the audience? We sent the audience video to you. What do you think they had to say about your film?
It was amazing to get the feedback. I I didn't I figured the audience members would be kind of a typical population. And so the population I interact with isn't Muslim. And so I wasn't sure if it would come across. This film does feel very experimental.
Mhm.
So I was really surprised and excited and grateful that the ideas came across and that they weren't people were more interested in connecting with it rather than fighting about the details. That was really exciting. It was like, oh, okay, they did connect, they got it. They got whatever they were supposed to get from it, but it was something positive. It was something
Yeah.
uplifting and supportive, and that was really exciting.
Oh, you're nervous about like something else, I guess, like not being into the ideas. Like, that's
Yeah, or
unfortunate.
like maybe it might not translate because I'm trying to present like ancient Eastern spiritual ideas in a Western traditional dance in a modern pop song. Like
Yeah.
I was like, do these intersect? Can I make this work, or is this just like really out there?
Well, it could be both.
Right? I just didn't know.
So you got the bug? Are you gonna make another film?
Yeah, most likely. I already have the song idea floating around in my head, and I know what dance it would be. I feel like I'm still recovering from gaining all this knowledge of how much it actually takes to produce a film financially, energy, time, like, whew, and then also like editing it, post production, and then like presenting it to the world. Like
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, this is so much.
Yeah,
But
there's well, there. It's like it's like running a business in a sense. But then
yeah,
there's a finality to the business, right? So
yeah,
different
yeah,
stages of that need to be done. A lot of creativity, right? So
yeah.
yeah, a lot of people,
A
right?
lot of
You
people.
can't do it by yourself.
Right. I mean, this was a relatively simple film. Like, I didn't have a script per se, but it was still a lot of people were involved in this. I didn't expect that.
Well, I think this was your film education, so I hope that you've succeeded and then some. So I appreciate, thank you for your candor too. Like I appreciate your time, and I think that even like conversations like this, it opens up because there's so much disinformation, there's so much ignorance out there, there's so much racism, prejudice, sexism, all you name it out there, and it's all garbage talk, and sometimes like I just have to ask ignorant, some maybe ignorant questions to you, but like I don't know, right? And I think that if I don't know, then I like to think that other people don't know either, right? So,
Yeah. Well, and
and
if you don't ask, you won't get to know.
that's the whole point, right? So I
Yeah.
think that we need to ask because I don't think that I
Yeah.
think like you said, this is an individual story, and I think that we're always looking at the macro of a community, and it's not we they don't the macro doesn't represent the micro, I guess, right? So
Yeah, right.
and that's what the but storytelling is was how the message get across from my experience. So
That makes sense.
all right. Well, thank you so much for your time. And let's talk again when you make your next film, because I know you're going to.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.